It's Movie Time is produced by John DeSando. Listen to shows and read reviews online at WCBE.org.
I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Mary Yerina.
And this is It's Movie Time. Luce.
Not
What does that mean?
Well, it's not L-O-O-S-E.
Oh, okay. All right.
Luce is the name of the main character in this film. It's based on a play by a young playwright named J.C. Lee that had its premiere off-Broadway at the Lincoln Center in New York in 2013. And it's now been brought to the big screen under the direction of another young
yes.
Filmmaker named Julius Ona.
Yeah, who had a bit of a turkey in Cloverfield Paradox, I think it was called.
Just a bit.
I know, right? But Lee is also a writer for this, I think.
He is. They co-wrote it and adapted it to the screen.
Yeah.
And Lee has done a lot of episodic work as well on television, including the very popular Girls on HBO.
Okay.
So he's rather prolific in his writing, but this is his only stage play that at least I could find and research thus far.
Well, Mary, one of the reasons that I have you as my guest is that I need somebody really smart for Luce. And you are the one, because you're very careful, you do your research, and you consider, because I think this is a complicated movie.
It's a very complicated movie. It brings in, I think, a lot of issues that are current in today's society, but doesn't necessarily make it easy by giving you any
Boy, it doesn't.
resolution on all of them.
I love it. I mean, of course we're talking about racism here. We're talking about a young man with a megawatt smile who is the premier athlete and everything else in his high school.
I think he was everything but class president, so I'm not sure how he missed out on that.
Oh, is that right? I didn't notice that. All right. But anyway, he was from Eritrea originally,
yes,
up to about age 7. So he had been schooled in militarism, and that presents the conflict, the simple conflict, when you say in the film.
I think it's the primary basis for all the other conflicts that are brought to the fore through his relationship with his parents, through his relationship with his fellow students, and through his relationship with his antagonist. In this case, I guess she was a history, social science teacher. Harriet Wilson, wonderfully portrayed by Octavia Spencer.
I mean, for those of you who are used to Octavia Spencer going a little bit over the top, she does not do that in this one.
She does not, and plays a very challenging role because she's not portrayed as, she doesn't portray the character of Harriet Wilson as very likable. And that's unusual for Octavia Spencer, who has such a warm, bright, natural personality that certainly came through in her Oscar-winning role in Help.
I know. Well, Mary, the thing that I like about this film is nothing is ever as it seems. In her case, while she's trying, I think, to help people of color, students of color, minorities, to be able to withstand the slings and arrows of society at this time, yet it appears that she may have some things in her background that impel her to do this, and not all of it is great either.
No, I mean, she's definitely a flawed character. And it's interesting, my friend who saw the movie with me, we actually discussed the dynamics of the film with her being an African-American teacher.
Yep.
How would the story have played out if this would have been a Caucasian
it's a great question.
Teacher, and the principal in this case of the school is Caucasian as well.
Yes.
And it really does bring the dynamic of racism in
on
multiple levels.
Does.
And in this case, because of the flaws in her approach as a teacher in dealing with student issues and student challenges, you wonder, is she aiding and abetting racism because of her own experiences and standards, and then projecting that onto these students? And a big question that the film raises, which I understand was also raised in the play, is how do our expectations projected onto others limit us from being our true selves?
Oh, in the case of Luce, our titular character, it would appear that he is being boxed by everybody, including his parents, his teachers, into a certain notion and maybe even stereotype of the excellent student of color. And they all want him to be this perfect person, and nobody can be. Yet at the same time, there's a suggestion he might not be everything that he appears to be. He may be the opposite.
Yes.
So where does he go? Because the actor has such a beautiful visage.
Yes, Calvin Harrison Jr.
Oh boy,
and very young. He was 24 when this was shot, playing a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have a long pedigree of film work.
Right.
And he's a musician originally, having come from New Orleans, where both of his parents were musicians.
Right.
But he's a wonderful actor, and I think what he does in this film and this role, where similar to the play and the movie Doubt, you're being shown certain facts and certain presentations, and it does have that kernel of doubt. Am I really seeing what I'm seeing, and do I believe it? And he did a wonderful job in what I think is a very complex role, in that he does make you believe in him, because he's so charismatic
oh
and does a great job portraying the perfect student that his school wants him to be, and the perfect son that his parents want him to be. And yet he's able to weave in those moments in the character where you may see cracks in the surface, but still he makes him very likable.
Oh yeah,
and very sympathetic.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting parts about this is also here's another issue, Mary. Is he allowed to write a paper about issues of violence, solving problems, which you know from his background as a young soldier, he would have been accustomed to violence as solving problems. And so what happens when his teacher accuses him of having some violent tendencies in his essay, he says, look, I'm just taking the point of view here.
Which is what she asked them to do in this assignment, is to write from the point of view of a historical figure.
Exactly. So you know, boy, I just left it. Now, this is my kind of movie, okay? When I have no closure, I'm a really happy guy, because I don't see any in life either.
That's very true to life. We don't always get the perfect endings that we want.
No, and nobody is ever, as you see them. This is... I wouldn't be smart enough to shut that off. Never be smart enough to do that. So I think it's the kind of movie that a person who thinks of film as high art, who enjoys the transition from a play, because indeed, it's clearly a play, it seems to me.
I would agree with that. It definitely had hallmarks of a stage, and they just happened to be filming the stage. Obviously, in a different medium, they're able to expand on that. Although I haven't read the script or seen the play, I would imagine that with this other medium, they were able to expand on scenes that they wouldn't have been able to portray.
I'll tell
on
you,
stage.
it's a great point. I'll tell you, for me, it has always been close-ups. That films can give you close-ups, and stage cannot.
Stage cannot do that.
It cannot, and that is the superiority of film over stage. Now, I'm a theater lover, as you are.
Yes.
And being in the presence of actual live human beings is a thrill to me.
Yes.
But when I see what movies can do like this, and I don't think it compromises the integrity of the original at all.
Well, in this case, having not seen the original, I would guess that it didn't. I did read a review about the production at Lincoln Center, and it seemed to be on point with the film that I saw.
Yes,
there were some factual changes. Luce on stage played football, didn't run track, and was from the Congo, not Eritrea.
Oh, really?
Yes. But the similarities of these unresolved...
Excuse me. Ow.
I'll repeat that.
Yes. Oh, my God. It's Barry. We would never get out of here. Nope. Barry, no. Okay, so let's go back. Where were you?
So the similarities, I think, between the film and the stage were strong enough that it was a true portrayal. And in some cases, when that happens, it doesn't always work moving from stage to page.
No, it doesn't.
When the filmmaker or the playwright doesn't really take advantage of the medium. A good example of that for me was Doubt. It played much better on stage for me than it did on film, even though the film was very well received.
Yeah.
But in this case, I got a sense of that it was a very similar portrayal, especially given the conversation that my friend and I had leaving the film about the number of social issues that are brought up. Not just racism, but the issue of immigration, the issue of adoption,
sure,
the issue of school cultures,
yes,
and the demands on this generation of being overextended and involved in everything and good at everything in order to build their resume, in order to get to a good college. That's a lot of pressure, and so there's these different layers of social issues that are presented in the film, and as we said earlier, they're not all cleanly resolved.
Well, you know, when you look at the high-class acting, Olivia Spencer, of course, Octavia Spencer, of course, being a prime example. But you have Naomi Watts, one of my favorites, and here we finally have a film that rises to her talent.
Yes, and she was wonderful in portraying the adoptive mother.
Oh.
Tim Roth plays the adoptive father.
Yes.
The dynamic of the family and their relation, especially the mother with the son, I think was a primary focus.
And Mary, you know something? Race, forget about race. A parent with a child is accused of something, going to support the child, but you have your suspicions. This is wonderful stuff.
It was really wonderful, and the issue of trust in that relationship, especially given the background of Luce. They referenced several times the amount of work and therapy that they went through together with him to help him get to a place where he could start to realize his potential. So it's a very beautiful dynamic. Some of the problems I did have with the film were I thought there were some rather unnecessary scenes that didn't really add much. And especially, we haven't talked about the supporting actors who played Harriet Wilson's sister, who's emotionally disturbed. I think she was used to show that Harriet has some issues in her past, some issues with her family, but I didn't feel like it really added anything to the story.
Well, I have a similar, if it's a complaint, is that there's way too much.
There was
way too much going on.
Way too much, and I think that's what made that scene, another scene where Tim Roth is holding one of their friends' new babies.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there were just scenes like that probably could have gone away, it would have made the film tighter. It's interesting, the trailer really leads you to believe that this is a psychological thriller.
I know,
But when you're watching it, it's really more, for me, it was more about raising all of these social issues, and it really leaves you thinking about what they all were. The ending is, I'm not going to give anything away, but as we've alluded to, it doesn't necessarily resolve all the issues that it's brought up.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat, in addition to Doubt, it somewhat reminded me of another film that goes even further back, and that's A Clockwork Orange. And the premise of A Clockwork Orange in terms of how much therapy, if at all, can really change someone's true nature.
Yes, and does anybody really change?
And does anybody really change?
Question.
And this certainly addresses it in the context of today and in the context of a lot of issues that are facing our world and our country.
So if you need a date after which you want to talk about a film, this is the film.
This is definitely the film. And I think it's exciting that it's two very young filmmakers, the playwright J.C. Lee and the director, and in this case, co-writer Julius Ona.
With some young and then some seasoned actors.
Yes. You
have a terrific film that will make you think that you have spent your $11 well.
Yeah, I would agree. It's very challenging. It's not perfect, but it's an exciting, unique film.
Mary Yerina, The film is Luce. What grade do you award it?
I'm going to give it a B plus.
Oh, good for you. And I'm going to give it an A minus. So I think, once again, we have a terrific... Why is it that when I have you here, we always have terrific films?
I don't know. I'm waiting for that one that one of us really dislikes and the other one really likes.
And that's the problem with this movie time. Nobody tells me what movie we're going to do but me. And I have a sense of what I'm going to like.
Well, you should always spend your dollars wisely and like what you see.
Yes, exactly. All right, good.